In this video, I'm rolling with Joe again. Joe is what I like to call a funny blue belt. Funny because he has an innate comedic talent and eye for good comedy, so we always joke around. And he's one of the few people in this world that really makes me laugh. So we have 2 other videos on the channel. I'll include those in the description. He's been a blue belt for a while. I'm not sure how long. It's got to be over a year. He is also in sanitation. So, again, very strong. He's 44 years old. And he likes to use, he's trying to use less strength. In his defense, he is trying. But it's not easy. Letting go and leaving your body limp while somebody's coming after you is a strange feeling. But if you could do it, it will lead to exponential growth in your jiu-jitsu. You could always add the speed and strength later. Probably in a competition or in a pissing match. So here he really can't pass my butterfly guard. It's not that he doesn't know how to combine properly to get past. So he commits too much to one type of attack, and it allows me a chance to counter, if you want to understand the principles behind it. So there he pulled me by my head, as you could see. Very effortless for him to pull me a couple of feet. So I have my hooks in. I think he would be better suited for a standing pass in this situation. So here he's trying to do like a staple pass, but he's not putting any weight on my thigh. He's putting it down on my knee, and it's allowing me to slither out. So again, has the right idea, just needs to work out some of the details. Details as far as pressure, timing, framing. Excuse me while I sip that coffee. I'm making an early morning video here. I want to stay on schedule for you guys every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday at 4 p.m. I will have an episode for the foreseeable future. So here I'm pretty much wrist fighting. We're in like a mutual handshake. But really what he wants to be doing is either breaking my posture or fighting my legs. So here I'm looking to wrestle up, or I'm thinking about it. I'm looking to either wrestle up or pull him to one side, probably his left side, in like a spinning motion. So once I can pull him down to that side, I can usually get to knee on belly. So here I'm controlling his legs. I'm not fighting his arms. I'm not hand fighting. I'm not grip fighting. I've been making this a point in my videos, and I find myself doing it more often. Just going right to leg control. Let's get past the legs first, then we'll worry about grabbing the head and wrist fighting later. This is what I like to call the 1,000-pound position. I don't know if I'm naming it correctly here, but he's very strong. And he requires some pressure. If you notice, I pressure him just enough. I could really put it on if I wanted to. But I notice I want to be polite and I want to feel that edge. Like, how much pressure would it take to hold this guy down? And as you can see, he's starting to come up, but I'm looking for the darce. My hand is behind his neck. So you want to put your arm under his armpit and then around to the back of his neck. But see, I'm trying to set it up there. It's good for people with long, skinny arms like me, and it works especially well in no-gi. So here he gets to his knees. I could have dropped for the guillotine right there, the arm in guillotine. I would have had to have dropped on my right hip. But it's not a match. And I'm looking to just play with this position and see what I could do with my arms. I wanted the darce, so I'm trying to see if I can force it, which is uncharacteristic of me, but it can help sharpen it sometimes. You have to force it a couple of times, then you realize, oh, if I just do it with this subtle change, I don't have to force it. But in the beginning, I had to force it, just to know it existed. Again, the 1,000-pound position, applying just enough to keep him from doing what he wants to do. Sometimes when I'm rolling, I think, if I was a police officer and I was controlling a suspect that I wasn't allowed to hit or hurt in any way, how would I do it? See here, he's got his hands clasped behind me. That does nothing to help him. It just keeps me on top of him. He wants to make space. You want to push into your opponent when he's on top, not pull him down onto you. So there I was able to get mount. We're making some jokes. We have a lot of little inside jokes that consist of a few words that can make the other laugh. Reminds me of the Seinfeld with Elaine Bennis when they meet his father and he meets George and he goes, oh, a funny guy. We had a funny guy like you in North Korea. They blew his brains all over the Pacific. So we make jokes like that. So there he tried to get out, and I wanted to put my hands on the mat to maintain control, and I couldn't. He bucked so hard, it was like a mechanical bull. So there he's getting to his knees again. I have that inside wrist control from the back, super effective. Whenever you're on the back, in no-gi especially, you should go for that because you have no lapel to grab. So here he's turning into me. I'm hollowing out my hips and going to the north-south to break his frames. Again, he's got his hands clasped behind my back. It doesn't really do anything. Maybe you could get some type of weird gator roll out of that if you really muscle, and that could lead to an easy shoulder rippage. Rippage, I think I just made that up. So again, look, not big movements. Whatever he does, I do just enough to contain him. So there I threatened with the rear naked choke. I knew I wasn't going to take it, but I wanted him to know it's there. I like this position because I have his right elbow up in the air. So whenever you're in side control, you want to separate his elbow from not only his knees, but his body. So if he was a good guard player, his knees and elbows would be connected. The next level would be to get the elbow away from the body and over the shoulder line if possible. All of these things create a weak situation for him because his muscles aren't made to move that way. So there I tried to pull him to take his back, and then I thought about an arm bar, but he dropped to the mat, and when he did that, it created space, and I went to knee on belly. And then he pushed me off, and I said, okay. You don't want to fight too hard. If he pushes you hard enough, just go with it. If you push into a push, that's what leads to injury. If he explodes, just ride the wave. So there I was thinking about sweeping him over. Now when he defended the sweep to the left by basing and making his body connected to the mat, that allowed me to scoot out to his left, to my right.
Just take it easy.
So there we're doing our Three Stooges defense. A lot of schools don't teach eye gouging defense. I'm joking. That's a common thing you hear from people. Oh, well, if I got into a wrestling match with you, I would just stick my thumb in your eye. Yeah, and I could stick my thumb in your eye and control you and break your arm. So I always get a kick out of that. A lot of my kung fu friends say stupid things like that. They think that their stand-up kung fu is all they need. Meanwhile, a high school B-level player could tackle them, football player, pretty easily, and then all their kung fu goes out the window. And I'm not an anti-kung fu guy. I love it. But if you can't admit that it doesn't have this in it, you're in a fantasy land. So here he's trying to sit on my hook in a very inefficient, ineffective way. Ineffective? So here I'm just like pretend wrist fighting with him. Like I'm just really using very little effort. Okay, now he's trying something substantial. He did like an over-under style pass, and I was able to slither out and get back up on top. If you notice, this round is going on quite a while. We're doing 2 6-minute rounds, plus we didn't take a break. So it's probably going to be about 14 minutes, something like that. So there, you've seen that pass a million times from me. 2-on-1, shuck the leg, go to knee on belly. See, I'm anchoring myself by grabbing the back of his head. Once I'm past his knees, it's good to grab his head, but not before I've passed his knees or waistline. Half guard's okay. So again, just pushing into him. If you could tell, I'm not driving my knee down. I'm just containing him with my shin. You could put a lot of pressure there and really make the guy super uncomfortable, but I think about it this way. To what end? Why am I putting a lot of pressure there to make him uncomfortable? Just for the hell of it? Also, it anchors me to him, and I feel like I have more of a chance of being rolled over or something to that effect, where if I just contain him with my shin, it's easy for me to make adjustments on the fly. So there, he almost did what he was supposed to do with closed guard, and that is pull me forward with his legs while sweeping with his hands to get his hands off of my chest, off of his chest. So when you pull forward with your legs and sweep with my hands off the chest, my hands have no place to go but to the mat. I don't know, he's trying to play a rubber guard there, I think. So once my hands are on the mat in closed guard, it's a huge advantage for the closed guard player, because he could hook my arm and start going into attacks. But if you just pull me forward with your legs or just sweep with your hands, see, now he's just sweeping with his hands, he's trying. You have to do both at the same time. It's a full body motion. My last instructor used to equate, he said, jiu-jitsu's not like chess, it's more like swimming. And I thought to myself, what the heck is he talking about? But after all this time, I see what he means. Sometimes you have to hear a thought and it has to sink through all your filters and all the things in your mind before you can really unwrap it. So his legs are straight there. You never want your legs to be straight when somebody's trying to pass your guard. You want your knees connected to your elbows. So here again, I'm looking to just mess with him, pull on his neck, make him tired. As you can see, I'm not breathing heavy. 13 and a half minutes into the round.
You got me.
So there he made space. Again, his leg is flat. That ends the round. And now I'm going to go over some principles with him as far as pulling your partner forward and clearing his hands so they go to the mat at the same time. It's such a basic thing. It's one of the first things I learned, and even I've forgotten it over the years. And you come back and revisit, say, wow, right, I wasn't sweeping the hands. Right, so this is a perfect demonstration of it. Another little word of advice. If you have shorter legs, you might not want to become a closed guard player. It's not that it's impossible, but it's hard to wrap your legs around somebody, especially if they're bigger than you. Me, I have long legs. I should be a closed guard player, but I'm not. I like open guard. It's too much fun. But thank you for watching. If you find value from my content and you want to help support the channel, I have a merch store. I also have a Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all.